All right, we are live. Hello, hello. Come on in the room. We're sorry about coming on a little late, but we just want everybody to be here, and we are looking forward to seeing you. And how are you, Miss Denise?
I am fine, Jada, beautiful lady. How are you? And how's everybody out there? This is our time with Jada and Denise again. I know you're so happy to see us because we're all happy to see you. And like I said, come on in, guys. And those of you that have been with us all the time, take this time and share and call in some friends to get in on this conversation.
Absolutely. We want you to come on in, share, like, comment. And you can now subscribe because we are uploaded on YouTube.
Yay!
So we do, that was a journey, but all of the videos, all of the replays, you have access to them because a lot of people were asking, saying they wanted to go back and listen to a lot of all the other videos. So now they're all on YouTube. All you have to do is put in the search engine, Can We Talk About? Or if you put in, Can We Talk About Joy? Or Can We Talk About Resting? We've managed to end up now, we're on the first page, so we should be about number 1 or number 2. If you type that in, you can look. So we want you to share, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah,
so
that's you, Jada. All you. She did it. I didn't have anything to do with it because, you guys know me.
Yeah.
Camera would be flipping all up and down and all this other kind of stuff. But, I'm just excited to always see what God has on his heart, and when people are out there, what it is that they're actually looking for. And so, with that being said,
what we're going to talk about today?
What are we going to talk about? I think in my heart, and I think in a lot of people's hearts, moving on.
Okay.
What is it that's stopping you from going to the next level in your life, or what is it about the things that hold you back? Sometimes we procrastinate in some of the things that we need to do, or maybe it could be from a job, or maybe a relationship has ended, something that you feel you wanted to do now is not available for you to do. How do you go from that situation to another? Moving on in general. And I think the first thing that comes up to me in my spirit is relationships. Okay. People seem to be having a very, very hard time moving on in relationships. And I want to know why. Because I think most of the time people are not really caught off guard when a relationship ends. And I'm not talking about just a relationship between a man and a woman. It could be a relationship on the job. It could be a friendship.
Absolutely.
There's something there that all of a sudden it's not the same. And somebody had mentioned to me earlier in the week about, you talk about Lee all the time. You're always mentioning things to him. In fact, it was a very, very close friend of mine. And I was sharing with her, I said, the difference is, the reason I talk about Lee so much is because Lee and I were friends.
Right.
We were friends before we were lovers. We were friends before we got into a relationship. And because of that, I could tell him anything. Okay. We could talk about anything. And I came into the relationship with issues. I had father issues.
Okay.
Because my mom and dad were divorced.
Wow.
And all I heard was negative. Everything. In fact, my dad's home. He went home to be with the Lord, so I can say this. I really thought as a little kid that my dad's nickname was Stupid. Because people in the house, other family members would address my dad as stupid. I was little. I did not know. And so I had to really figure out what my dad's name was. And that's because people in the house were tearing down his character, and I really didn't know. And as I got older, it took me to be 25 for my dad to be my best friend. So what I've realized that even as far as having a relationship with God the Father, I didn't want to have a relationship with God the Father because I didn't have a relationship with my Father. So these group of people that were family members have literally torn down the character of who my father was. And as I got older, I realized that my dad was good. My dad was just human. There was two sides to every story. And it even got so deep, Jada. I've seen this before too. I've seen people who are by themselves and they get with somebody that's in a relationship with someone else, and that person they had a friendship with, and that person is moving on with their friendship, and all of a sudden there's a big block that comes out. Because now the female is talking badly about the person that he's chosen. But if that was your friend, I see you making a face, so you know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, I've seen it because you know, and we're talking about men today, because I have a lot of brothers. Okay, and so I was always not the cutest girl, so I was always like, oh, that little sister. But the thing about being the little sister that was amazing, I got to hear their conversations.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
And women would befriend me to get close to my brothers. And they would be talking about this girl like they knew her. They did not know her, Jada. And until I had taken the time to get to know them, I would have not liked this girl. So words, you're mad, you're envy, you're jealousy. Instead of just telling the guy, you know, that you missed their time together or friendship, whatever. Now you're tearing down somebody's character. And depending on the guy, he may believe it. So now we got a real problem, because now you have just gone in and just annihilated a situation that may have been good if you had kept your mouth out. I don't know how we got started talking about this, but you got that look on your face.
Oh,
do you
teacher.
understand?
Be sure to share, invite people in while you're on.
Yes.
That is such good teaching. You know, whenever you have a relationship too, I think that you have to cover it.
Oh,
you know, pray about it, because, well, I'll just use this as an example. Prince Harry.
Great example.
You know where I'm going with that.
Oh, my goodness.
So you can go ahead and tell. He knew to protect her. He knew to keep that very quiet.
Yes.
Because he is one of the most eligible, well, he is the most eligible bachelor in the world. And he chose someone that was very different. He chose someone who came from another country, who had another background, who wasn't used to the protocol. So he knew people were going to put their mouth on this young lady. And I have the utmost respect. I've had a few friends who have been in high-profile relationships. And that is the wisdom they have used, because people come out of the woodwork when they feel like they're going to lose you.
Good point.
That, like you said, that they're not going to be close to you anymore. So they start putting things in people's ears. And that person, when you're seeing someone, I think it's a testament of what kind of person you are too, the kind of character and strength you have. Because if you know those things, then you set those boundaries and you don't let. But people can be very manipulative and controlling. And a lot of times you really don't see who they are until you bring someone new around. There's a lot of things about people's behavior that we don't see, but I have so much respect for how he protected that relationship, you know, and even released a statement to everyone, you know, to say, you know, you're not going to do this, you're not going to say what you're going to say. And the decisions that they made to keep it very private, too. It wasn't, even though, yes, he's the prince, and for everybody else, they wanted to be very, very public. And wanted, you know, to go out, but she'd come in one door, he'd go in another, or there would be events. She wasn't even there, or he wasn't there. But there's a reason for that. And like you said, those are the boundaries sometimes that we should set, and we should use wisdom, because especially I have learned that if it's something that the Lord has ordained, and that the difference that maybe the two of you are going to make in the earth and the world, just like when you said you and Lee started speaking, or people assumed that that's what was going on and saw the friendship, it was like, well, who is she? Well,
yeah, it was. It was like Miss New York,
right?
You're from New York, and you just think you're coming down here to Georgia. In fact, I had a couple of women approach me.
Right?
Like, yes, they did.
I believe it. I'm not gonna say nothing about that one.
They approached me and they said to me, "Oh, so who?"
They got in your face.
In fact, they wouldn't even give me a. They wouldn't even give me a. Can you guys see us? Yeah. Can somebody like send me a heart if you could see us? Because we look kind of very light in here, and I just want to make sure the light's okay. So, you know, I appreciate you guys. Does somebody send me a heart to let me know that you guys can see us good? Yeah, one person, some person came in and said, you got a text?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Some people came in and literally said, wouldn't give me a seat at church. They gave me, although I got there early
right.
for praise and worship, they put me all the way to the back. And what they didn't understand, I was so moved by the word to be able to praise and worship God out loud that I don't want to be up front to be closer to the praise and worship team. But they would throw me all the way back. And one day, head of usher pulled somebody aside and said, what are you guys doing? Why are you guys doing that? We don't like her. Miss New York, she thinks she's coming in here and, you know, she just snatched up Lee. I'm on snatched up Lee. I didn't come in here for Lee. I came in here because I needed the word, you know. But people do little petty, little silly, I cannot even imagine what they were doing to this prince when they found out that he had a relationship that they didn't know anything about.
And I know, goodness. And that makes a lot of people upset too, because they think they have privy to you, especially in that. And that's why I say it's very important to protect relationships, protect the people that you're with, so you guys can, you know, work those things out. One of the things about, you know, my personality trait is actually an extreme level of loyalty. I'm very, very, very protective of the relationships I have. And so people know with me, you can't come to me and tell me something,
no, me either.
You know, and that says a lot to me as well about you as a person. If anybody has your ear to tell you anything, you know, that you should know, because I have been in situations, I've been in, you know, like you said, pretty much, I know that like the back of my hand. So I'm just going to leave that alone for the sake of a live audience. I'll let you fill in the blanks.
But you know what?
But you know,
even as the family, and when I told the story about my family, people mean well.
Yes.
But there's two sides to every story.
That's
and
right.
when you're a little kid, all you're doing is seeing how somebody is mad at somebody's tearing down their character, somebody's calling them names. You love that person. It's talking about a marriage situation. You love your mama, you love your dad, because it didn't work. Maybe you weren't married, but the bottom line is now you can't see them. You don't want visitations come in. And that kid is listening to that. So if they don't know that individual and they're learning that individual by the words that you say, then what finds out is that now, all of a sudden, this person is a bad person, and it's not really true. Many times people get into relationships because you said they feel they have a right to know the relationship.
Or they have a right to choose who they think you should be with.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's not.
And that is not true. It's not to say that you don't do your homework. It's like I'm funny. I think that you need to do a credit check. You need to do a background check. Oh yeah. Yeah. You need to do a real long check on what it is. You need to look at their family. You need to find out where they came from. Okay? That was one of the things my grandmother used to do, because she was from Kingston, Jamaica, and people would always try to come by the house, and you wasn't coming by our house.
That's right.
Unannounced. You know, and in fact, my first date took place in the house with my parents.
Yeah.
We had dinner together.
Right.
Well, I wasn't going anywhere with you.
Right.
You know, and I remember this one guy, I thought he was so fine and so cute, and I was all excited to see him, and I was like, oh, Nana, da-da-da-da-da. And then she looked at me, she said, Lord, child, what's wrong with your face? I'm so, Eddie, he's so good. Said me don't care what his name is. Where he come from, child? Where he live in? Who is his people? What you know about him? I don't know nothing about him.
That's right.
He not taking you nowhere. Gonna come here with the family. We're gonna check him out.
Check him out.
Out. You know, and they knew, they were like, I want to date her. Well, you can't date her. Do you see how many brothers she has? You know, you got to go through the brothers and the uncles and the everything. And yes, that's necessary and it's needed when you're starting out. But if it didn't go well, don't now, all men are bad.
That's right.
You know, and oh girl, you better watch him because that's what he did to me. That's what, you know, it might very well be what he did to you. But now, are you going to tear down his character? Men have enough issues trying to prove themselves to people, especially nowadays. I think that men feel that women don't need them.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I believe that I'm like, why should I talk to her? I mean, I know that we're independent and we need to be independent as independent thinkers, but you cannot independently, birth a child. Now, you may be able to raise one, but you cannot independently birth one. And so now you're breaking up the relationship in the union, and you have this attitude, I don't need anybody, and now you're wondering why there's no marriages or no true relationships, or you have people that they're married 1 year and they're out. Where you've got people that's married for 25 years, 35 years. Talk to somebody that's been married for 50 years or 58 years like Lee's parents were, and find out the journey of everything that's going out. But if you want a relationship with somebody, stop tearing the men down.
Yeah. Amen.
Because it's really, like I said, there's a balance, but most of the time when you have an issue with somebody, it's you. When you couldn't get along with somebody and now all of a sudden you can't stand them and that person has moved on, the minute you find out they moved on, now we got all this conversation going on. Girl, you better watch yourself. Or girl, or you start treating the child differently because now they're in a relationship. Mm-hmm. And it's jealousy. I talked about moving on. You can't move on until you come to the realization, why do you feel the way you feel? And you might be justified, but until you look at yourself and truly look at yourself and see that it has something to do with you. If you have to take your time and think, give close attention to tearing somebody else down, crabs in a barrel, to get to where you want or to get to that individual, let me tell you something. They are not going to forget. You might be in their ear, and yeah, they may end the relationship, but they are going to remember what you said about that individual. And here's the part. Every word is seed time and harvest, Jada. So when you send these words out, like, he ain't no good, or let me tell you what he did to me, and his whole family is this or that, you might be right. But the bottom line is it will come right back around. And it's going to come against you.
I had a mentor once, too. She also said, I'll never forget, she says, even if the relationship doesn't work out between the two of you, she said, at least pray or get them ready for somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you be nice enough to do that? It's like, what?
Yeah.
This may not work. You know what I mean? And it, like you said, but then that's part of, it's almost like the last broadcast we did when I said when God had shared with me to pray for the blessing for somebody else. And it was that, like, I don't know if I want to do that because they had hurt me.
No.
And it's the same thing too with men. A lot of women need to release them. Yeah. You are holding them in your heart, holding them in your spirit bondage because of what maybe you used to have or what you want to have, or even maybe he did send mixed messages and you thought you had. But you have to be able to move on with your life. You've got to let that person go. Just as much as you're holding that person in bondage, you not realize you're in bondage. And like you said, people can see that. They can see that you're not free, that you're miserable, and then like you said, then you putting your mouth on. And some people are, some women are very manipulative and slick in the sense that they may not put their mouth on it, it's their behavior.
Yeah, but sometimes silence speaks louder.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's not always. Sometimes I've seen women do things to keep men in bondage, to keep men under their control or whatever. Even, at companies or at work. Manipulation.
That's witchcraft. It's twisted thinking. It's wicked. Like wicker.
Thank you.
Furniture is twisted.
And you think nobody sees what you're doing. That's the thing that you think that nobody, even with having brothers and a father, like you said, we have a very keener eye because we've seen women around and what they've done to our fathers or our siblings. So we know the behavior and we know that, okay, this is not godly. Things that even women do that can be a stumbling block for our brothers. Their attire, things that are just constantly inappropriate. That's speaking ill of a man as well. Your poor behavior around a man.
And when you see these things, I think that also when you see these things, like I have a problem, and we've talked about this before. I have a problem with females addressing themselves with the B word. That bothers me beyond measure. And then I've had men call women and address women by the B word.
Not just the
this, whatever, calling her a whore, you know, all these other things like that. I think that it is, you know, it's disrespectful. And sometimes you have to see where that came from. And if you go down that family line, you might find out that that's the behavior and language that was inside their growing up every day, and they don't know any better. But you know what? We have to make that change. You know, you have to start with you. When you carry yourself with respect, you will get respect. And there's people out there that in every situation, I see you guys coming in, share this, because I think this is a blessing to people in general, as women in general. I have no problem giving a brother respect or giving a man respect when respect is due. Absolutely. If you want respect, you need to show respect. But sometimes I've found that some men that are very disrespectful are the nicest people you ever wanted to meet. Now, I know that sounds crazy to you, but when you get on the other side and have a conversation with them behind closed door and just ask them, okay, what is that all about? Where did that come from? They will sometimes share with you, well, my mom told me this, or my aunt told me this, or my dad, you know, did this, or my mom did this to my dad, or my mom talked about so bad about my dad. So now they're mad at mom, and they won't tell mom that they're mad because they love their dad, and a division takes place. So what I'm saying is, you're trying to move on, and you're trying to take somebody to another level of understanding, or you're trying to even have a relationship with somebody, and you don't know why you keep hitting that brick wall. What's coming out of your mouth?
We're ensnared by our own words. You know, like you said, you run into certain things. I remember had an associate who would often say, "Oh, this isn't going to work. This situation's not going to work. This relationship, this business, and I would just be like, "Well, you said it." You know, and those things that you say and even when you said about words, I know people who use the H word.
Oh yeah.
You know, a cow.
Yeah.
And refer to each other like a joke and say, but that's how we talk. No. And I'm thinking, but that's an animal. There's no humor to that. There's no honor. There's no respect. And, you know, it's like, sometimes I wonder if Christ, which we should think about all the time, if he was present, would he ever use those words to refer to a daughter or his son?
Well, you can tell even when the men found the woman in adultery, they found her. How did they know where she was? That's another story. But they found her, and they went and got her and brought her. Because I didn't tell you, they knew where she was.
Right.
Okay, and brought her and was ready to say she did this and she did this and she did that. Jesus never said anything.
Right, he didn't
respond. He didn't call her a name. Because it doesn't matter what action she did. He still saw her as his child.
Amen.
I'll say that again. It doesn't matter what action you do. He saw the condition of the heart. We don't know why she was out here with all these men. It could be a situation where she didn't see she had low self-esteem. Maybe her father was missing in action. Maybe people told her as a young girl, this is what you do with your body. So she doesn't know any different. I mean, a lot of the programs that we have in trafficking, they get these young girls and they tell these young girls, this is the first thing you do with your body and this is what you are good for. So now all of a sudden the mind change is, this is what I'm doing with my body. So what's wrong?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different situations that you have to dig in to find out, why does the person do what they do?
Right. And you're right. And they have to address that. And then that's the part of when you're a true follower of Christ, though. He renews us. He heals us. What used to be the old way. You know, the Bible even speaks about jesting and jiving and playing too much, you know, and playing in a way where you be like, well, this is just the way I am. But you have to remember, people are always watching. They're always listening. And we have to treat each other as brother and sister. You know, and like you said, not bad-mouthing our brothers no matter, you know what they do. Now, like you said, there's some things that need to be warm. And I have to respect even some of the women who are, you know, coming forth with what's happening, you know, just in the nation.
Yeah.
But they're not going on tangents of this, and that. They're just saying, this is what happened to me. And, you know, beware. And they have a right to do that. But like you said, the tearing down that we do a lot of with men, or even like going back to the way that we're carrying ourselves around men. And what I say about that is, we're not supposed to be a stumbling block. One of the things that I find that's frustrating to me is sometimes I'll attend conferences or events, and even church conferences and events, and I find women there with their whole mindset is to get a man, to get a man who's in ministry or whatever, but they are dressed inappropriately. Their behavior, they're running around like a groupie or things as such. And we are not supposed to do that. That is actually, to me, also speaking ill of a man, because it is really saying you have no respect for him. You think that he has no character because he's going to like you because you're dressed inappropriately. And then you have no respect for even the place and other people that are around you. So like I said, it's not just because, like you said, our behavior, our words are about other things that we've learned, right? So all of you is now expressed. The things that you're doing, everything that you do is an expression of what you've learned. And sometimes a lot of those things are bad things. And, my thing is with sisters, I see women run a man down, and I'm saying to myself, but you see this person is ignoring you. This man is trying to stay focused. Why don't you have enough respect to let him do that? Do you know when I was, just working in corporate America on a C level, and one of the things that I had, one of the books that I read, it was really good. It was about women on executive level, and it was a Christian book for professional women. But one of the things that she wrote in there was just about the attire alone. She said that she took a poll, and it said that the men actually 90% of the time could not stand when a woman was dressed inappropriately. And what he thought in his mind was, she's done this on purpose to distract me.
But I think also from the we only go by, there's a whole generation that goes by what they see. Like even the fashion, they're dressing our little girls like teenagers, 5-year-olds as teenagers. Some of the commercials on TV, they're driving a little toot-toot car by the bus stop to pick up their baby, their girlfriend. He's 5 years old. She's 3 years old. Why are we, so it's a power of suggestion, I think, that we're also putting in there. And I think that and I think some of it as far as attire is concerned, that begins on a decision. Someone has to be shown, because it's a whole generation that everything is about the body, not from a health perspective,
right,
but from a drawing perspective.
That's it, and that's seducing.
Right, it is seducing.
It's
but
seduction.
I'm saying, if you don't know it, because even there's a whole situation where I had to make a statement because they had little young girls in Daisy Dukes. Why is a little young girl in Daisy Dukes? And then you want to wonder why somebody is addressing them improperly or whatever.
Or
and now you want to say, oh, that's just a little girl. Well, that might be a little girl, but it begins at home, Jada. It begins at home.
But
and if everything at home is a representation of that, then you're just naturally going to pick that up and show it. Because let me say this too. I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
No, it's fine.
I've had a lot of people that I've observed in very modest apparel.
Yes, ma'am.
And they were doing stuff like everybody else with everything hanging out. So I don't go by that either. It's a mindset of what you do. It begins with you respecting yourself, and you have to be taught.
No, I agree with you, but I agree with that. I agree, because that doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying your skirt has to be to the floor or whatever, but what I'm saying is being a distraction. We're not supposed to do that. We are supposed to be dressed, modest. You're supposed to, cover things up. But it's not just young girls. I see grown women.
Well, I think that when you see a grown woman in a certain apparel, it's obvious what she's after.
Exactly.
See, I don't give an excuse for that one.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm not giving.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you as a mature believer, or a mature adult woman. Just like people say they're entrepreneurs, but then your skirt is 2 inches up. There's no way. Because professional women have a language. Do you know on Capitol Hill you're not even allowed to wear anything that's sleeveless? But then we wonder.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is,
on Capitol Hill.
But I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying
no, but what I am saying about that is that you cannot conduct yourself like that all the time and then expect that, that's what we're saying to each other when we do these things. When we dress like that for men, and
well,
they're
men
in
are
a
very
profession,
visual. Men are very visual.
I understand that, but when they're in a professional setting, when we do things, when they are the leader of a ministry, and we come in and we do these things, we're setting a stumbling block. And I am saying, what are you saying about that man? You're saying you're foolish enough to believe this, to be distracted. And because men are visual, they do look. What I am saying is, if you know you have things in your power and your influence, why don't you make the decision to be right before them? Be right before your brother. Be right before your sister and do things. That is what I am saying about that. I'm not saying that it always says that the person is right, that covers up or doesn't show anything or doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. But I am saying that we are also supposed to carry ourselves as respectable individuals as well. The Bible warns against dressing or putting on anything that even has the appearance of a harlot. It warns of that. It says if you look like somebody that's running the streets at night, you're not even supposed to dress like that. So it does matter. It does matter. And what I'm saying is out of respect.
I guess my whole thing with the balance is you have to respect yourself. Because I know a lot of preachers that they talk about women like a dog because a woman has on a short skirt or a woman shows cleavage. No, I'm not saying you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying the balance in there. There's a lot of people that because I just saw something the other day on Facebook, and this pastor was tearing into women about the way that women dressed. And it's not what you say, it's how you say it and how you give understanding of it. Because I turned him off because he was calling women whores and calling women, don't call me a whore. Because I think I shared this story, guys. When I first got born again, I was working at a club at night. Tending bar, and then would get up early in the morning and go find my kids to take them to church. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I would be in what I wore, which was a skirt, wasn't a mini skirt, it was a skirt. And I remember the lady telling me, when I didn't pay my tithe, that I couldn't come to church anymore like that. And she made a decision of a type of person I wasn't. Here I am getting off work, taking my kids to church, and because of a skirt.
That's good.
Because the bottom line is, I asked her, I said, what happened to the part in here that says come as you are?
Yeah.
And Lee always said you have to catch a fish before you clean them. I'm not going to judge anybody because of a skirt or because of cleavage or because of tight pants. I remember that she came to church. And after you get into the word and you know that he says that who you are, that I don't have to do things to draw attention to myself or whatever. When you find out who you are, then guess what? The change is made. Right. Now, I did not go down and start putting up turtlenecks. I did not go down and start putting dresses down to my knees because that wasn't me. Right. That wasn't my personality. I was a fashion person, so I loved all types of fashion. So I want to I'm not saying you're saying that, but I just want to say if anybody's out there listening to that.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I said before, I'm talking about people who are mature and know better.
Yeah.
You've been going to the same church and you call yourself, I've been with pastor for 10 years and 12 years.
Yeah, but then I had some churches that would not allow me in because I had on pants. So.
But that's another.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, we don't know who's watching. And I'm just saying the balance, that's why I'm saying the standard that we set, we have to set for ourselves.
Yeah. No, I agree.
The peace that we walk in and the things that we do. Let me tell you something. If you're getting dressed one day and and you're questioning what you have on, change. Because if you're questioning what you're having on, you don't need anybody to confirm that or unconfirm that. It's not peaceful within yourself. I'm saying the peace, just like we were talking about moving on. If you know in a situation where you're in a friendship with somebody, and you find out that you don't pray together for a mate or whatever, and you find that they're moving on, and you find yourself getting irritable because now they're spending more time with that person, and you find yourself giving negative conversation because now they're not available all the time, they're available to you, check yourself. Check yourself. And even with guys, we're talking about males and the females. I know some guys that is friendly with somebody that wants more than friendship, but they're coming off as friends. And now when they're in a relationship with somebody, all of a sudden they're changing their behavior, or they're trying to break down somebody else because you saw that person as being your friend, but they saw themselves as being more than a friend. So I think there's a balance in that. Basically, watch your words. Mm-hmm. You know, when you speak about yourself, watch your words. When you want to make an impression, know within your heart why it is you're doing the things that you need to do. Stop tearing down somebody else. Stop tearing down somebody's self-esteem. Stop coming back at people because you have a relationship it did not work, a friendship, even a friendship that now we're not friends anymore. Now you want to now tear down somebody that was your friend. All of a sudden you want to take that gossip and all that. It's going to go around. It's going to come around. And if you are a person that is around people and you dress inappropriately to get somebody's attention, guess what, guys? You won't have their attention for long, because the same way you got their attention, somebody else will have their attention. And it also gives off a bad reputation of somebody that may not be. Because I remember when I first went to World Changers, I would go after Busybodies, Lee Haney's workout, and I would run to Bible study. So I had on workout gear. And I remember somebody coming up to me and giving me a thing to put around my waist. And I was like, what? And she said, baby, you can't come in here with your bottom showing. And I had on workout gear. And she said, no, you got to put a jacket on, or you got to put a sweater on. Because I was going to Bible study, guys. And nobody pulled my coat and said, this is not proper behavior for the church. So guess what? I didn't stop my workout. But what I did is I grabbed my sweater. And I put on a long sweater, because I knew I had time between workout and when Bible study started. And I came in there with my things on, and I had my sweater on. I wrapped it around, my waist, or I put a long jacket on. Why? Because I wasn't going to give up that's a distraction, and that's a procrastination. Now, you go into Bible study, everybody's finding out how you walking in, and okay, I'm not going in there. See, the devil wins. Oh, I'm not going to Bible study. No, I made the adjustment and her approach was right. She said, girl, don't be coming in here with that thing on. Good. Don't be coming in here with tight clothes on. You coming in here. No, she said, baby. She said, I know you coming in here to Bible study. She said, put this little thing around your waist. I said, I don't put that on my waist. Don't be putting that across. No, I said, oh, wow, Mom, thanks. And she said, honey. Now, you got a little jacket in the car? I said, yeah. She said, make sure you put the little jacket on. So she drew attention. I tell the story about the first Bible study I went to with Lee. I had this blouse on. He told me I had cleavage. I didn't see no cleavage. But he told me, Pastor said, we cannot pick people up on the camera that shows cleavage. He said, you have to put on a scar or change. Good. He said, that's distraction. So guess what I did when I went to Bible study again with Lee? It's a distraction. What I did was I said, okay, I'm going to have to do this. Amen. I'm going to have to make the adjustments. So we were talking about moving on, but we were also talking about making adjustments within yourself. Making adjustments for within yourself for how you need to go, what it is that you want people to think about you, what do you want people to say when you walk out of the room, why do you do what you do? Whether you're breaking down somebody's self-esteem, why are you doing that? Whether you're dressing inappropriate for attention, why are you doing that? Why you spreading gossip? Why are you doing that? Why you're mean all the time when somebody says something to you? Why are you doing that? So when you finish all that, it all comes back to you. And if you're going to move on in any direction, whether it's a new career, whether it's after divorce, or whether it's a relationship that has broken up, or whether a friendship has broken up, you are always going to have to turn around and look at you. And if you cannot find anything, I tell everybody all the time, say the Lord's Prayer. Because everything you need, if you read the words, everything you need is in the Lord's Prayer. Find yourself in concordance, find your issue, and in the bottom line, it begins with you. What you think, Jada?
I think it was a hot topic.
Listen,
we love you guys. Be sure to share. Be sure to like. Be sure to comment. And like I mentioned before, we're now fully uploaded on YouTube, so you can go back and look at all the replays by popular demand. We're still working on the page, but if you type in, can we talk about, rest or can we talk about joy, we should pop up on the first page. I've kind of managed to get us to pop up number 1. A lot of work, but please go on, leave a comment. This is the only time in life you can be slick. So be sure to share, like, comment, subscribe.
I want to say something about Natalie, because Natalie works with the NFL and different things. She works, a beautiful young lady, and her son does all things in acting. Natalie will tell you, she's around these guys all the time, and she's like I'm saying with my brothers, wonderful guys. Yeah. And some of the things we're saying are absolutely true. So she hears it. I see Coach Judy is on. I heard her come in. I heard her come in. I saw her come in. Thanks for being on, guys. Thank you so much. Share this with everybody. I appreciate it, so much. But, in this entertainment industry and in as far as where I'm coming from or in marketplace ministry or whatever, don't assume anybody and deal with somebody's character by the way they're dressed or by the way they carry themselves. You have to, sometimes we know that things are wrong, but you have to understand people don't know what they don't know.
That's right.
People never know what they don't know.
Absolutely.
And so don't assume because the way somebody carries themselves, that individual is that the way they are.
Absolutely.
Always go with your peace. Stay within your peace. And thank you guys for coming in.
Just love people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the dressing. I'm talking about when you get a revelation. You too old to be. Yeah. You know better.
Hey, well. That's another story. Thank you, Gail. Thank you for being on. I appreciate you supporting us all the time. I didn't see anybody else, so it starts to roll. Make sure that you leave your comments because we're very much interested in what you think, and Jada and I will be going on and
yes. When you go over to YouTube too, there's a lot of great surprises through the videos. If you replay them, we've got video suggestions on them and also polls. Whenever we're asking questions, we want to engage with you. Take the poll at the top on the YouTube. It's can we talk about resting or can we talk about joy? That's how you can find us on YouTube. Leave us your T and T's, which are your thoughts and your testimonies.
Appreciate you guys. Okay, we are out of here.